All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Hope everyone is having an amazing day so far. Coming to you for another very special live. Hope y'all ready. Buckle up your seatbelts. We got another live coming right now. Very special guest. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Ryan McCrary, also known as the Funnel Doctor. I run a digital marketing agency. We specialize in funnels, of course, websites, landing pages, advertising, email marketing, and so forth. If you want to know more about what I got going on, you can click the link in my bio. Schedule a call and we can jump on the call. But today we'll have a very good conversation about business credit. If you want to learn about business credit, how to leverage business credit, how to obtain business credit, and how to use it to actually build your business and buy more assets, type something in the chat. Let me know. Make sure you tag some folks that need to be here. I think our special guest here. I'll let her up in 1 second. But I need everyone to do me a favor. Share this out, put this in people's DMs, tag some other people. Let me know who we got in here. Type your name down, your business name down, and where you are tuning in from. I know I got people all over the world. I got clients all over the world that we help. Yes, how? We're going to talk about that. Like I said, do me a favor, share this out. I need you to tag some folk. I need you to drop into someone's DM. We ain't worrying about the other foolishness happening on Instagram. We are here to build our businesses, build more entrepreneurs, build generational wealth to ultimately help the Black community. That's what my mission is. And I know a lot of people that rock with me, same mission as well. So let's get this party started because we ain't got that much time. Let me let our very special guests come up and we're going to get this party started. Should be coming up. Always got trouble doing this. There we go. Hey, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. How's your day been going so far?
Good. Busy.
Stay busy.
Just busy. But I'm blessed. I can't complain.
Yep. All right, great. Let's get started. I always ask this when we get started. For those of you that don't know who you are, if they've been hot under a rock, if they haven't been retargeted on the ad yet, what's they going to be? We do. Let people know who you are, where you from, and so forth.
Hi, everybody. My name is Latoya Jackson.
She is related to Jackson, just so y'all know. She
Not related to the famous Jacksons, but my name is Latoya Jackson. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and I teach entrepreneurs how to build business credit with their EIN, and I help them obtain financing. So that's what I do.
Okay. So I want to go way back. I know you have a very interesting story, but,
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about like your childhood and your upbringing and so forth?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I, kind of grew up kind of poor. Didn't have much growing up. My father died when I was just 2 years old from cancer, and my mom just worked odd jobs to, support me and my sister, because my father passed away and my father passed away as well. So she worked a lot of odd jobs to support us. But, I didn't feel like I was a result of my circumstances or whatever. I always knew that I wanted to achieve great things. And so I went to college. I went to The Ohio State University. I don't know if it's any Buckeye fans in here. But when I went there, I read the book. You have to say that.
Yeah.
Alumni get mad. Right. But yeah, so I went to school. I read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure a lot of people in here have read that book. And it really opened my eyes to real estate. I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs or, real estate investors. And so that book was like, oh, okay, it kind of introduced me to the world of real estate and how you can use it in your life. But at the time, I was a poor college student. I had no clue how I was going to get into real estate. So I did what they told us to do, right? Go to school, get good jobs, go work in corporate America, live happily ever after. So I did, got a degree in, business administration, focused on marketing, and did business-to-business sales for 15 years. So I worked for Philip Morris, I don't know if you guys are familiar with them. They make Marlboros, Virginia Slims, Basics. I don't smoke. I've never smoked a day in my life, but they gave you a company car and a good salary after college, so that's why I work for them. And, then I worked for Michelin, selling tires. You know, Michelin's BF Goodrich and Real tires. So that job moved me from Ohio to DC, and then from DC to Chicago. And then while I was in DC, I decided to get into real estate. I got my license, and I still had my day job, but I was selling houses on nights and weekends. And I learned quite a bit from my investor clients. You know, they would tell me how much they want to buy the property for, how much they want to invest in it, what the ARV would be, and they would talk about how they would finance it. A lot of them started talking about business credit. I'm like, I got a business degree, and I've never heard of business credit. Like, what is that?
That's sad, right?
Right. You know, in college, you hear about accounting and finance when you major in business, but you never hear courses about funding or financing. And that's like, you know, 30% of businesses go under because of lack of funding or lack of capital. So that was the first time I heard about it. But anyways, make a long story short, I got a promotion. Michelin moved me from the DC area to Chicago, where I am now. And yeah, I decided that I wanted to become an investor. You know, when you're a realtor, you only get a small commission, right? You look at the HUD one, your investor is walking away with a check for like $60,000. Right, and you got your little $5,000 that you might have to split with a broker. So I really didn't want to be an agent. And when I moved to Chicago, I decided that I wanted to invest in real estate. So I went to a lot of workshops, a lot of seminars, read a lot of books, and got with some partners and decided to do some deals. And so in a 5-year period, we raised close to $2 million. And we did various types of real estate projects, everything from fix and flips, buy and holds, mixed use commercial. We did some wholesale deals. We had an Airbnb. And so I learned quite a bit about funding and fundraising during that time. And all of that money didn't come from one source. So out of the $2 million, 300,000 of that was business credit. Some of that was personal credit or traditional financing. Some of it was hard money loans. Some of it was raising money with investors and offering a double-digit return. So I learned quite a bit about, you know, funding during that time. Well, fast forward, that business or that partnership didn't work out. And I went to a women's empowerment event. And one of the ladies there was like, what's a DUNS number? And how can I use that to get capital for my business? So I'm in the audience. I'm like, I know the answer. So, there's a CPA there, and she's like, you don't need a DUNS number. You just need, you know, a 720 credit score. You need to be in business for 2 years. You know, you need to have 250 in gross revenue. You need to have business tax returns. And I'm sitting here like, well, yeah, if you go to a bank, they're going to want all of that before they qualify you for a loan. But I'm like, there's non-traditional lenders out here that will help you get access to capital without having all of those requirements. And I knew that because I did it myself. I had gotten like 40K. And I was only in business 2 months. Like I wasn't in business 2 years. I didn't have 250K in gross revenue. You know, I didn't have, you know, business tax returns at that point, but I was still able to get capital. And so that's when I got the idea to educate others about other funding opportunities. Like in real estate, you have to know a bunch of different ways to get access to capital so you could do more deals. Whereas in other industries, maybe those entrepreneurs are only aware of going to a bank, right? So that's where the idea came from, to start Excel Capital Group, to really educate our people on the other funding opportunities out here. Yes, the bank is an option, but they have a lot of strict requirements, and that can be hard to obtain for, you know, new entrepreneurs or new real estate investors, and they need to know about the other sources of funding out here.
Yeah, I love that. Shout out to everybody joining in the chat. Shout out to my guy Andre. Everybody else, do me a favor, y'all. If you're just jumping on, we're talking to Latoya Jackson, owner of Excel Capital Group. I need y'all to share this out, tag your friends. If you want to know how to get more access to capital, if you want to know how to get business credit, definitely make sure you tag the people that need to be here, drop it in someone's DM, posting in your story, and so forth. She just said, I hope y'all caught that. She got 40K in funding and only being in business for 2 months. Did y'all catch that? Let me know if y'all caught that. Let me know. Like, I hope I'm not the only one. Drop a gem or drop an emoji or something in the chat. So I definitely want to. I got a number of questions, but before we get into that, I want to know, like, how were you able to do that? Like, how were you? Because most people was, like you said, you got to be in business for at least 2-3 years. You got to show tax returns. You got to show, P&L, all that type of stuff. So how were you able to secure that with just being in business for 2 months?
Okay, that's an excellent question. So there are two ways to obtain business credit. Okay, there's two ways. There's a fast way and there's a slow way, right? So the fastest way to obtain business credit is to leverage great personal credit. So I'll talk about both ways, right?
Okay.
So if you have great personal credit and you don't mind leveraging it, and again, it's pros and cons to it, then you're able to obtain up to 150K in 2 weeks or less. So this is what the lenders look for, and this is what I had at the time. So they look for at least a 700 score or more across all three credit bureaus. They want a strong profile. A strong profile meaning no judgments, no bankruptcies, no liens, no collections, no foreclosures, right? Or maybe you had a bankruptcy in the past and you've reestablished your credit since then. Like one of my students got 60,000 recently. She had a bankruptcy years ago, cleaned up her credit, was able to reestablish and still get approved, right? But they want that strong profile. They also want at least 3 years of credit history to look at, right? So you got a 700 score and you only got credit for a year, like that's a thin profile to lenders, right? So they want at least 3 years of credit history to evaluate you from. They also want you to have at least $5,000 in current credit card limits. And the reason they want you to have at least 5,000 is because you will generally qualify for 3 to 5 times what you currently have in limits. So when you hear that you can get up to 150K, it's based on what you currently have in limits. So if you only got 10,000 in credit card limits, you typically will qualify for 3 to 5 times that. Right? So that's what determines how much you potentially could qualify for. So again, they want the 700 score across all three credit profiles. They want a strong profile, no bankruptcies, no liens, no judgments, no collections, no foreclosures, at least 3 years of a credit history, at least 5,000 in credit card limits or more. And it doesn't have to be one card with 5,000. It could be however many cards that equal that amount or more. They also look at utilization. So you have to be under 30% utilization. And the last thing that they look at is inquiries. So no more than 6 inquiries per bureau for the last 2 years. So if you meet those qualifications, you can get up to 150K in business credit cards in 2 weeks. So that doesn't require you to be in business 2 years. Doesn't require you to have 250 in gross revenue, right? Doesn't require you to have business tax returns. So as long as your business is set up and active with the state, right? You could have set up the LLC last week. So as long as you got your entity set up and you meet those requirements, you could qualify for business credit cards in 2 weeks or less. And it's generally 0% interest, anywhere from 6 to 12 months. I've seen some people get up to 18 months with 0%. But 0% interest for 6 to 12 months, and they don't report to your personal credit report. So the way we used it is we used it in our real estate deals. We used it for the rehab. So you can purchase materials, right, from Home Depot and Lowe's for your fix and flip projects, or you can pay contractors and subcontractors with business credit too. So that's the way we were able to obtain it and to leverage it. So that's one way. So if you have great personal credit, you can use that to get business credit cards in 2 weeks or less. But there's the other way to do it as well. That's a lot slower. But that's how I was able to do it.
Okay, well, I mean, why you want it? Like, what's the other way? I'm curious.
Yeah, the other way is to build business credit with your EIN, right? So remember I told you there's a fast way and a slow way. So the fast way is leveraging personal to obtain business credit cards. The slower route is to do it with your EIN, and that takes time. That is not something that happens very quickly. Industry experts say it could take a year or longer. And I would say that's true if you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing, you don't know the process, you don't know what vendors and creditors to work with, then yes, it could take a long time. And it could be very frustrating. But basically, when you're building credit in your company name, let's just talk about what it is, right? Business credit is just that, credit that's in your company name, credit that is separate from you personally. And basically, it's similar to personal credit, but a little bit different. So on the personal side, when you have your credit report, say you got a student loan, house, mortgage, or whatever, when you pay those bills, it's reported to the personal credit bureaus and you get a score. Or business credit works in a similar fashion, right? You obtain some things in your business name, and when you pay those bills, it gets reported to the business credit score, the business credit bureaus, and you get a business score. And when the company has enough credit in the company name, then the company can begin to qualify for things. Like if you want to purchase a truck or a car and you want to lease it or purchase it in your company name without a personal guarantee, you can do that. But the company has to have enough credit in the company's name in order to qualify for that. And the reason that it takes a while is because it's 4 tiers of doing that. All right, so it's a process. You got to work your way up to that. So, you know, you start off with your credibility steps, making sure you set up your business the proper way to meet lender guidelines. And then from there, you go through the tiers. So, you know, tier 1 is not that sexy credit. You know, it's not the credit you start off with hoping for. But you have to use it to work your way up to tier 4. Tier 4 is where you see the auto vehicle financing, right? Or the Visas or the MasterCards with no personal guarantee. You have to have enough credit in the company name before the business can qualify for that. So a lot of times people will say, oh, I went to apply for a business credit card and they asked for my social. Well, why is that? Because if they go pull your business credit report, nothing's on there.
Yeah, right.
They're to judge your business on, so they're going to default to your personal. So doing it with your EIN takes longer. You know, industry experts say it takes a year or more, but I show people how to do it in 6 months or less.
I love that. So if y'all would like, you know, extra, I don't know, 150K in your business, if you think that will help take your business to the next level, do me a favor, drop it in the chat. I want to make sure we're in the right room today. And if y'all getting value out of this conversation, I definitely want to see some emojis, you know, or something like that, because I'm getting value out of this conversation, because this is something like me as an entrepreneur, I don't know that much about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know marketing, I know sales, I know funnels. I was big on bootstrapping and everything, like in the beginning of my career. But I, you know, don't know that much about business credit and lines of credit and using OPM and stuff like that. So I love this conversation. I'm just curious as well, what made you want to transition out of real estate to actually doing more of this? Or do you still do real estate stuff? Do you still do real estate deals? Or what? I'm just curious on, like, what was the shift and what made you want to shift from real estate?
Well, the previous business didn't work out. You know, the previous business kind of fell apart and I was at a low point. I wasn't sure if entrepreneurship was for me. I was like, oh my God, I had this business. We raised all this money. We did all these deals, but then it fell apart. We lost a lot of money. We lost a lot of deals. Now, people don't talk about the downsides of real estate, right? There's a lot of money to be made, but there's a lot of money that can be lost, you know? And so that business and that partnership kind of fell apart, and I kind of hit rock bottom, right? I lost a lot of money, credit got shot, you know, mentally just lost a lot. And I was down and out. I wasn't sure if entrepreneurship was for me, right? And so I went back to corporate America, and I was like, okay, you know, I tried the entrepreneurship thing. It didn't work out for me. Maybe I need to go back to the 9 to 5. And when I went back, I realized I hate this. I can't stay in this. And, you know, maybe I need to pivot and do something different. So when I went to that women's empowerment event, that's when I got the idea. That's when I was like, oh, okay, I can educate others about business credit and funding. This is something I have experience with and can help other people do. And so it wasn't like a transition. It was like the previous business didn't work out, kind of hit rock bottom, kind of lost everything and had to start back over. And when I went to that event, that's when the idea kind of sparked. But it was a while. It was a while. It was about a year after I had the idea before I launched the business, to be honest with you. Because again, I hit rock bottom, you know, my house, almost lost my car, credit shot, like lost everything as a result of the first business because I leveraged it all in that business, right? And so I lost quite a bit, and it took a while to start over. You know, I had to go to therapy. I went back to corporate America. Even though I didn't like it, I got to do what I got to do to support myself. But when I went to that event, I got the idea, but it wasn't until a year later. I went to an NBA All-Star Weekend. It was here in Chicago a few years ago. I think this was the same year Kobe passed. But yeah, it was NBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago. I met the radio host, AC Green. And AC Green, you know, he was just like, what do you do? Everybody's networking. I'm like, oh, I can help people get funding. He was like, great, we need somebody to speak on that on the radio. And I was like, really? And so he asked me, he said, do you have enough support to handle the leads that you're going to get? We have you on the radio. You're going to get a lot of calls. I'm like, yeah.
Right.
be totally honest, I didn't have anything
Right.
together. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, call my people on Monday and I'll have them help you. And so, I have them set everything up. So I was calling him back to cancel, right? I was calling him back to say, hey, I don't have enough in place to handle this. Give me another month. He said no. So I had a week to get everything together.
Hey, let's get it
I
out.
I got a website,
Gotta get
I got a phone number. Right, I got a logo. I got everything done in a week. And then that's when I officially launched, and I was on the AC Green radio show like once a week for 4 weeks straight. Then I did the Perry Small show, and then the pandemic happened and that kind of shut down, and I kind of transitioned into doing the live thing. But that's how the transition from real estate to business credit kind of happened. It wasn't a end thing. It was just the previous business fell apart. And going back to corporate America, thinking that's what I wanted to do, and then going back and realizing like this is not what I want to do, and then getting the idea to inspire and educate others, and just kind of going from there.
Yeah, that's great. That's interesting. Yeah, I was just wondering because I just didn't know that part of your story and stuff like that. And I like what you said is everybody online is sharing stuff about real estate, but you don't hear necessarily like the downside of it or negative.
Man, I can write a book on some of the mistakes that we made. Like one of our contractors, we had given him first payment, business credit card, $20,000, and he filed bankruptcy and ran off. You know what I mean? Like with real estate, you can read all the books in the world. You can, go to a bunch of workshops and seminars, but until you actually get into the deals and do them, that's when you learn. And then you learn how to protect yourself from things like that, thoroughly investigating these contractors, making sure they have a valid company, because if not, your contracts are invalid, or getting lien waivers to protect yourself, because we're paying him. Like the subcontractors are putting mechanics liens on the property, talking about we didn't get paid. We're like, we paid him. He was supposed to pay you. What do you mean? So we learned quite a bit. And like I said, there's a lot of upsides to it, but there's a lot of mistakes that can be made. And like I said, you can have all the preparation in the world and things can still go left. Like one of the projects that we sold, we thought we were going to sell it for like 30, 40K more, but by the time we got done with it, the value had changed, and we didn't make as much as we'd hoped for. So, but that's how it happened. The previous business fell apart, partnerships fell apart. We all kind of went our separate ways, and then after going back to corporate America, I went to that event and got the idea to help others. So that's kind of the transition happened.
Okay, yeah, I love that. Another thing I love about what you do is like you really are the expert. You know what I mean at this, because it's a lot of people online selling snake oil or took a course. Now I'm a business credit expert. You know what I mean? Or I read a book or a chapter out of a book, and now I'm a business credit expert, and I want to offer business credit coaching and all that type of stuff. Or they may have a large social media following, which makes them think they can talk about business credit or other things that they don't know nothing about. So I definitely love how you are an expert in that. Man, like you are an expert in real estate as well. I'm starting to dabble into it. I'm in the process of trying to get my first property. It's definitely been a process, but I'm learning a lot, as we go, because that's something, again, I just don't really know much about. Like I said, I do digital marketing, funnels and stuff like that. But when it comes to real estate and just that whole world, is a learning curve, but I'm blessed to have very smart people around me that are definitely showing me the way, and definitely don't got to go out alone. But I am in that process literally as we speak. So really let's dive into like really the nuances of business credit. Because like I said, I personally don't know much about it. We can use me as an example. I don't have no business credit right now. I'm currently in this Chase Minority Business Program right now. And we're going over stuff like that of access to capital and operational costs and other, just things of how to build a sustainable business. And one of the things that they are trying to do eventually is give me some business credit or give me lines of credit or access to capital and stuff like that. And I told them, I'm like, right now I'm in like home buying process, so I don't want y'all pulling my credit. So we're not doing it like right this second. But at the same time, like, what would you suggest for a business owner? Definitely depends on where they are in the journey. Are they just starting out? Are they already at doing 6 figures or more or 7 figures? So I'm curious on how someone should go about it. Also, maybe like how much money should someone go after? Because like it is some people that say, "Oh, I just want to get as much as possible," but I truly believe it's like it's not just about getting. Like, what are you going to do with it? You know what I mean? Because me personally, like, just being honest, in my entrepreneur journey, it was always like I'm bootstrapping. I don't want no body else's money. I don't want no seed money. I don't want no venture capital. I don't want to go on Shark Tank. I'm a hardcore bootstrapper. I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna build my business myself, and that's just what it is. I was, ignorant to OPM and other stuff like that, but I think there are some downsides of just getting all this credit and not knowing what to do with it, and you don't actually have a sustainable business model to actually use it efficiently.
Oh, Lord. Okay, you said so much. All right, let me try to handle a little bit at a time. As you mentioned, there are pros and cons to this, right? So if you're gonna PG, right, say that you got great personal credit and you want to get business credit cards, and you can get that. I always tell people to have a plan of how you plan to use that money, because typically you get 0% interest anywhere from 6 to 12 months, and when that interest is up, it's going back to the normal interest rate. So to give you an example, when we would try to get our projects done before that 0% interest ends, because once that real interest kicks in, that can be very, very expensive. And so the downside of leveraging personal is if you don't pay those bills, right? Let's say you go 6, 7 months without paying your business credit cards, right? Originally, it does not show up on your personal, but because you did a personal guarantee, now it can show up as a derogatory on your personal credit report. So if you're going to get business credit cards, one, have a plan on how you plan to leverage it to make more money, right? A lot of people don't have a plan, get all this money, and then the 0% or introductory interest rate is expired. Now you got all this interest, and sometimes a lot of people can't pay that off. You can end up in a bankruptcy situation, because what a personal guarantee means is that if the business cannot pay the bill, or if the business goes under or whatever, you are personally responsible for that debt, and they can sue you. So let's say you had 10 credit cards and you were trying to use that to flip a project or do something else, and you're not done, you maxed it out, and now instead of having like $100 a month payments, it's like $500. You got 10 cards, right? You might not be able to pay all of that, right? And that's where those lenders can come after you, and you may or may not have to file a bankruptcy. So that is the downside of leveraging personal. But if you're responsible with credit, then it shouldn't be a problem. As long as you pay those bills, it's not on your personal. So if you have to max it out, it's not going to affect your debt to income or your utilization. So that's some of the downside if you're leveraging personal. But the plus side is you get a lot of money in 2 weeks, great interest. You don't have to have all those strict requirements of the bank. You don't have to be in business 2 years. And you can really use that to help you in business, whether you're trying to, like you said, do some social media ads, whether you're trying to use it for inventory, maybe you're trying to use it for, investing. Like, there's so many different ways that you can use it and leverage it. And that's the issue that I see a lot of people do. They get all this money and they don't know what they're going to do with it. They wait too long, the interest rate kicks in, and then they can't pay the debts back, or they're using it for the wrong things, right? Like, they could be not using it to grow and scale their business or to build passive income. Some people want to, take vacations, or, buy clothes to stunt for the gram, like just doing any and everything that you're not supposed to do. And it can turn into even worse debt than when you first got it. You really have to leverage it. The whole point of, leveraging is to use borrowed capital to make more money. Don't use it on bad debt. Don't use it on things that are going to help you make money. Okay, I'm trying to talk to some of the other things you mentioned, because you mentioned a lot. If you are purchasing a house, I wouldn't go the PG route, right? Lenders don't want to see new lines of credit opening while you're about to buy a house. So just wait till after you close on the house, and then you can come back and get those business credit cards and use it however you wish. If we are talking about a new person starting out, how do you go about doing that? Well, regardless of where you are in your business journey, I know some entrepreneurs been in business 20 years, never established business credit. Some are new. So, it doesn't really matter where you are in business. The first steps are to make sure that you're set up the right way, right? It's 10 steps in a credibility process, and you want to make sure you're set up the proper way. So, the typical things, making sure you have the correct entity type, right? You cannot establish business credit as a sole proprietorship, right? That offers the amount of protection from a tax and legal standpoint, right? And there's reasons why you don't necessarily want a sole proprietorship. So you want to make sure you have an LLC or a C Corp, maybe you do an S election, right? Make sure you have the right entity. Again, you want to look at your business like lenders look at businesses and they're evaluating them, right? You want to look like a big business on paper, even though you may not be. And it does not cost a lot of money to do that, right? So make sure you got the entity set up, make sure you have your EIN, make sure it's active, with the state and you pay your fees. Make sure that you have a business address, right? A lot of people, when they start a business, they go to the UPS store or FedEx and get a PO box. Like lenders don't want to see that.
Right.
That you don't look like a big business to them if they Google your business and see the UPS store, right? Or Google your business and see FedEx. So you want to make sure you have a business address. Now, you can use a home address if you want to, but I always ask, do you want people to Google your business and see your house, right? So if you don't have a physical office, you can get a virtual office. They're relatively, inexpensive, and it's in a commercially zoned area. It's a nice big building, so lenders can see, a professional setting, right? So making sure you have, an address that's in a commercially zoned area. That's what lenders look for, right? Your business phone number. On business credit applications, they don't want to see a cell phone, right? Get you a business number, right? Sometimes they have to call to verify that,
Google Voice.
Yeah, right. Don't do Google Voice, right? That's not professional enough in the eyes of lenders. Spend a little bit more money on something else to get you a proper business line. What else? Oh, being listed in the 411 directory. So a lot of people don't realize that lenders still look in that directory to make sure that you're a legitimate business. Like to them, if you're in there, you're established. And the biggest mistakes I think I see people make is not having their business name and address matching. So when you're filling out business credit applications, lenders are trying to verify that you're a legitimate business. And so they go look at the Secretary of State to see if your business name and address match. They go to IRS to see if your business name and address match. And they go to the 411 directory. And a lot of people don't realize this is the step where a lot of people get denied on their application. Yep, 411 does still exist. But yes, so somebody might have a name like 5 Star Inc. on IRS website, and it could be 5 Star Incorporated spelled out, on Secretary of State. And you can get denied because one site has IRS, has Inc., and the other one has Incorporated spelled all the way out, right? So it's small things like this, where there's pound signs, apostrophes, abbreviations. It has to match to a T when it comes to the IRS, the Secretary of State, and the 411 directory. So, making sure that's in order, making sure you got a proper business address, right? An email address, like you at your company. You don't want to use Hotmail. Yes, and then make sure you got your company website and that matching email if you can. And, things like that. Making sure you have a business bank account. A lot of lenders want to know that you have but having a business bank account, making sure your revenue goes into a business bank account. Sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs have their revenue going to Cash App or going to a personal account, and you go to apply for it, right? They're going to look at your business statements to try to see how much income you have. And if you got it all going to personal accounts, they don't necessarily want to count that. So make sure you keep your personal and your business income and expenses separated. So those are kind of the things that you need just to set your business up the proper way in the beginning. And it doesn't cost a lot of money to do those things, right? You want to, again, look at your business from the eyes of lenders. Lenders are looking at you like, are you a legitimate business that I can lend money to, right? And if they see that, there's inconsistencies online, you could get denied. So whether you are an existing business or a new business, make sure the business is set up the proper way first, right? Then from there, you can go into the tiers of building your business credit. Did we have some questions? I saw something go across the bottom and I could not.
Let's get
everything.
So Small Biz Philly says, what if you don't have a business set up yet because you didn't have the capital in the first place? How do you apply? I assume you just don't apply, but you can answer that.
Yeah, you gotta find a way to set it up the right way. Because even with opening a bank account, if you're not listed in your Secretary of State, have your EIN, they won't open it for you. So it's not that expensive. Just find the resources to help you open a legitimate business. In some states vary. Like in Illinois, it costs $150 to do an LLC. Right? I don't know how much it is in the state that you are, but I know California is like $800. So it just depends on where you are. But I would just hustle up enough until you can get it set up, because lenders don't take you seriously unless you're set up like a business.
Right. Yeah. And I know so I guess Small Business Philly's in Philly. I know in PA, it wasn't that much. When I first started my business, like I ain't have no money. You know what I'm saying? So I think I even did, I think I did it through LegalZoom or something like that, but I also did like installments. You know what I mean? So it might have been like 300 or something, but you pay like $100 a month or something. You know what I mean? Something. So it really ain't that much. So I think there are other options. I think you answered the 411 directory still exists. I ain't know that either. Listed on your business, is that not enough?
No, it's not enough.
I said nope. But
It's to be listed there because they are going to Google you, right? But you need more than that. They are going to check IRS, Secretary of State, and 411 first and foremost. And yes, they're going to Google your business to make sure you're a legit business. But if you just have the Google listing and not the others, applications get denied. So Google your business is not enough.
All right. So, but they have business Cash App accounts though. I don't do no business through Cash App. Like, I've had people try to pay me through Cash App, but like, nah, bro. We about to send you this Stripe invoice, or I don't even personally like PayPal like that. For real, for real.
But people don't realize like some of those merchant accounts have working capital loans that you can get. That's not a personal guarantee.
I want to talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Let me go through the rest of these questions because I do have a separate question on that. But
okay.
I don't use Cash App for business. Shout out to Jeff, just joined. I know y'all did a live together. Me and Jeff gonna do another live together next week.
Hi, Jeff.
If you didn't have the capital to start the business in the first place, yeah, I'll say to get the capital. Nelly's girl, this is my mama, second mama. She says 125. Yeah, we in PA, so 125. You know what I mean? Like, listen, you could go do Uber for a night and get 125. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, seriously.
Yes.
You're making help, filling it out, definitely. Always great information. You're a wealth of knowledge, Latoya. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so I do want to talk about, because I got mixed thoughts, and I have thoughts that I've got from my CPA on getting a Stripe loan. Because I get an email, it seems like every other day from Stripe, like, oh, hey, you qualify for 40K, or based on your volume, like, we can give you X amount of money, or PayPal. I know people do Shopify loans and so forth. So what's your thoughts on that? Should you do it? Should you not? Should you stay away from it? Should you leverage it? What's your thoughts?
I love it, and I've done it. I've done it with Stripe, and I've done it with PayPal. So what do I love about it? Basically, you can get financing for a working capital loan based on the amount of transactions or the volume that you do going through that payment processor. So let's say you're making $5,000 to $10,000 a month, and all of those payments go through Stripe. So Stripe is seeing your transactions every month, and they can give you a working capital loan based on that. What I like about it is that it's not a personal guarantee, right? Personal guarantee, it's not going to show up on your personal credit report. Also, it's typically a low transaction fee. So, say they give you $1,000, maybe the transaction fee is $300. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's typically a low transaction fee. And then the payback, right? I think the biggest difference between this and like MCA loans, like the merchant cash advance, the biggest difference is the paybacks. So you can choose how you want to pay it back out of future payments, right? So let's say that, your product is $500 and someone pays you $500, right? You can choose whether 10%, 20%, or 30% of the customer's payment can go back to paying that loan. And let's say you have a seasonal business, right? Where some months you got great sales and some months you don't have anything. You don't have to make a payment for 3 months when it comes and PayPal. So it's really, really flexible. The one-time transaction fee is typically not that much. And the interest rates are pretty decent, but I know that those vary. That would be the only downside is whatever type of interest rate they give you. But the great thing about it is it's no personal guarantee, doesn't show up on your personal report. It's a low transaction fee, and it's favorable payback terms versus traditional loans. And you don't have to submit bank statements. You don't have to submit tax returns. They are literally looking at the volume that you do with them. And so Stripe is invitation only. PayPal, you can apply for it at any time. And so I think they're a great alternative to like personal loans, right? That's going to help on your personal credit report, and you might have to submit tax returns, and the payback may or may not be favorable to the type of business that you have. So I don't think they're a bad alternative. I would say that if you need it, use it, have a plan for it.
Right.
Like a lot of people just get it, and it could be eaten up by whatever your monthly expenses are. Get it and leverage it somehow. How are you going to leverage it to help you make more money? And the payback is pretty favorable. So I'm for it. But again, I'm not a CPA. I can't speak for an accountant. But I've done both in the past, and had no issue with it.
Yeah, I feel you. And like I said, I have heard people say, I haven't personally done one yet. It's tempting, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying I won't never do it, but I have had people say like, nah, don't do it because either like it's a high interest rate, or me personally, like I'm not crazy about giving someone a percentage of my sales when they come, you know what I mean? But I definitely understand like if you use it the right way and you leverage it, like, and you've already used that capital, like advance yourself or marketing, like whatever it is, and then giving like a little small percentage back, you just paying it back with your sales, not like any new money you got to put into it. So that was definitely my thoughts on that. But I have seen,
right. So I would just say, yeah, the only downside could be whatever interest rate they give you, and that varies based on the business. Only thing about Stripe is this invitation only. So if you don't apply by the time it expires, you got to wait till the next time they send you an email to invite you. Whereas PayPal, you can apply anytime. Yeah, but it's not bad when you think about. But if you don't need it, then yeah, by all means, don't take it. But if you're like, okay, I'm gonna use this to, I don't know, if you have a plan for how you want to leverage it, it's not a bad alternative to get financed versus some of the banks that require all that stuff, right? 250K 2 year, you know what I mean? So it's not bad compared to some of the other loan products that's out there.
Yeah, because you can literally apply and then they just drop that money in your account. You know what I mean? Like,
in like 1 to 3 business days. Like it's very quick once you get approved for it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. And I have seen before, like I was working with a client one time and she took like a Shopify one. And it did hurt her though, because like we was doing ads and stuff for her, and like the ads were doing well. It's like she was getting sales, but then when she looked at like her net, it was like she wasn't able to reinvest as much into the marketing because her net sales were a lot lower because she had to keep paying that loan back. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've seen in the past where it's like it's great you're seeing all these sales you're getting, but then when you got to pay back that money, it's like, you're really not getting as many sales as you thought. So it's like it can affect your business. I have personally just seen
that. You definitely got to evaluate it to see if it's worth it based on the terms that they offer you. Everybody gets different terms.
That makes sense. All right, let's get to some of the questions. So she said, does the DUNS keep track of inquiries for your business?
Well, I mean, yeah, you get inquiries, but they don't hurt you like they do on the personal side. So, on the personal side where they say, lenders want no more than 6 inquiries per bureau for the last 2 years. Inquiries hurt you on personal. It does not hurt you on business. So remember, with business credit and personal credit has those 5 factors that affect your score, right? Utilization, inquiries, mix of credit, all that stuff. Business credit, 80% of the score is driven by payment history, right? Are you paying that bill on time? Right? So that biggest, most important factor on business credit. So inquiries does not hurt you because it's not kind of like calculated like it is on the personal side. I think the biggest problem with inquiries on personal is like if you go buy a car, right? You ask the dealership financing and they're shopping your credit to like 20 different lenders, and now you got 20 inquiries, right? So but yeah, it does not hurt you.
All right, so yeah, let's go to transition to Q&A. So if y'all got questions, more specific questions, feel free to drop them down. While y'all doing that, Latoya has a program that she goes over all this stuff specifically. She also has a training that she's going to do next week. So Latoya, if you want to share that information about your program and or training, you can share that, and then I'll type the link down there, and then or you can type it, or I'll type it. We can pin that to the chat also. Sure.
So I have a webinar next Thursday. That is September 8th. talking all about business credit and funding. We're talking about what business credit is, why it's important for every entrepreneur to have it, what are the 2 ways to get it, what are the 4 tiers. So we're kind of talking about it in a little bit more detail. It's a free webinar. It's next Thursday. The link is excelcapitaltraining.com. So you can go there and register for the free webinar. And I have programs to help you build your business credit. So I have a beginner course, which kind of helps you with those steps, making sure you set it up the proper way. It's just one 90-minute course. And then I have a membership where I'm helping you in terms of group coaching go from tier 1 to tier 4 in 6 months or less. So I saw somebody else ask a question. What's a DUNS? Okay, so a DUNS number is a 9-digit number that's given to your business from Dun & Bradstreet. So Dun & Bradstreet is one of the 3 business credit bureaus. So just like on the personal side, you have TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. On the business side, you have Dun & Bradstreet, which is the largest bureau, and it's the oldest bureau too, and they don't do personal credit. So they do business credit reports only, right? So you got Dun & Bradstreet, you got Experian Business, and you got Equifax Business. Now, there are a lot others, right? There's a bunch of business credit bureaus, but those are the big 3 that, most lenders and auditors report to. So with Dun & Bradstreet, they give you a 9-digit number called the DUNS number, and this identifies your business within their list of databases of business, right? They have over 20 million customers that they do business credit reports for. And how do they identify your business? It's your DUNS number. This is also what's used to report your payment history. So say you obtain a credit line, let's say you got it with Quill, you buy something from there and you pay it, right? You have to have your DUNS number if they report to Dun & Bradstreet on the application, so they know to report that payment history to the correct business. So that's what a DUNS number is. That was a good question. Did I miss anything else?
I don't think so, because you teaching me because I don't know what it is. I've heard it. I know the term.
Somebody said you need a free score for your business. No. So that's another difference between personal and business. So for personal, you have to give someone permission to pull your credit report and give them your social. And if you're entitled to 1 free report every year. On the business credit side, that's not the case. If you want to see your score, you got to pay for it. If you get the free report gives you like a letter, like an A, B, C, or D. You really need to know your numerical score. The scores go from 0 to 100, and you need a score of 80 or higher to be considered a good business credit score. Like that's equivalent to like a 700 on the personal side. So you do have to pay for your scores when it comes to business credit reports. And also business credit reports are public record. So anybody can look up your business credit report at any time as long as they pay a fee. So it's not like the personal where you got to give someone permission to pull your credit. I could pull your credit. I could just go on there and pay a fee and I could pull it, right? And if you haven't established credit yet, you typically start off with a low or a failing score. So that's why it's really, really important that you want to start building out your business profile and start to establish credit for your company.
Love that. Other question we missed. What's your email? Your email is info@excelcapitalgroup.com, right?
Yeah, LLC.com.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Anything else that I missed? I got the last question. Answer all my questions. I had a lot of questions around when should do it, when should you utilize it, definitely about like other merchant account loans and stuff like that. Hear more of your story, but any other questions, feel free to drop it down. Personal ID theft.
Oh, wow.
Can Experian freeze your account?
Are you referring to personal or business?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Typically, you can freeze your own accounts, and you can do them for free. You can freeze them if you need to.
It said personal.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a personal credit repair expert. I only deal with business credit. But what I can say is that you can freeze your personal credit reports for free if you need to.
Okay. Do you have any advice for Navy Federal loans?
Yeah, I think Navy Federal is a great credit union if you can get in. For those of you who don't know, you got to be in the military or have a family member that's in the military in order to obtain an account with them. But you want to build up a relationship with them by building an account. You know, you can start with a checking or savings. You can start with a business account, you know, making sure that you are depositing money into it every month. And after several months, I mean, they have a lot of loan products that you can take advantage of, whether that's for, you know, mortgages or personal loans, business loan products. If you've been in business 2 years, there are great loans that you can get from Navy Federal as well with no PG. But you got to be in business 2 years and have a working relationship with them when it comes to that. So Navy Federal is a great credit union, and you want to establish a relationship with them so that you can take advantage of their products. Their credit requirements are not as strict as other lenders, and they pretty much have pretty decent rates and terms if you can get in with them and establish a relationship with them.
Mm-hmm. Is credit unions better to start a business or a bank?
I'm going to say that's subjective. Um, I think credit unions, it's easier to establish a relationship with them and they do have favorable products. However, traditional banks, what I like about them is that they use Plaid, right? So when it comes to business credit, you can get fintech credit cards. Fintechs are companies that are not typically headquartered in the US and they have kind of relaxed laws, or they're got not laws, I'm sorry. Their credit guidelines are not as strict as some of the other companies, and it's easier to like get approved with them. But in order for you to get approved, your bank has to be able to connect with Plaid. So I would say get a bank that connects with Plaid, because a lot of fintech companies, you talk about getting some business credit cards with or without PG that are favorable, giving out lots of great limits like cap on tap and stuff like that. They will connect to your business bank account and they will analyze it using Plaid software. So if you have a bank that doesn't process Plaid, you're going to be doing things a manual way and sending in statements or you know, different things like that. Whereas if it connects to Plaid, you can get a decision relatively quickly and get approved and get your cards quickly. So I won't say necessarily one is better than the other. You could establish relationships with both if you want. I do think credit unions have a lot of advantages, but I don't know if all of them are connected to Plaid, right? I use Chase and they connect to Plaid, but it's a lot of other banks that do. Like here in Chicago, BMO does not connect with Plaid, so I don't work with them. Like it's a lot of fintech companies use Plaid as their software to analyze your business bank account. They're looking at your average daily balance. They're looking at, you know, revenue and making decisions. Like right now, Cap on Tap is sending emails out for credit increases. Some people have gotten up to 40K, you know, with the business credit card. So, what I can't see what she said.
All right, let me go to another question. We only got a couple more minutes, everyone. So if you got any other questions, just type them now. We're gonna wrap in about 5 minutes. So I have a business and need business credit. How would I get started? I have an electric company. I'm going to say you need to join her training. If you want to know more of the how, I would say you got to join her training because she's going to go over more of that. So you can chime in if you want, but that's what I would say is make sure you sign up for the training.
Yeah, just go to excelcapitaltraining.com and register. It's a free webinar. And we're going to be talking about what business credit is, you know, why it's important, and talk about ways to get started. So I would definitely go ahead and register for that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm late. So a newly established EIN can get credit. I saw your interview with We Invest. How would I show the lender income?
Excellent question. And thank you for checking out my podcast interview with We Invest. I did that a while ago, but thank you for checking that out. So basically, when you're building business credit with your EIN, in the beginning, when it comes to like the tier 1 and a tier 2 type of vendors, you don't have to show income or bank statements or tax returns in the beginning. So you want to set up your business the proper way and then start to go through the tiers. So you won't have to do that. Now, as you get further along in your business, or you're looking specifically for some loans or lines of credit, that may come into play. But to build business credit with your EIN going through the tiers, it's not something you need starting out. A business that's a startup or, doesn't have a lot of revenue can still get approved for credit without that in the beginning.
Okay. Let me see. They offer more. Bank was harder. What about U.S. Bank? What about U.S. Bank?
I think they connect to Plaid. I don't know that off the top of my head. I would check. But you can always Google banks that partner with Plaid. They have a lot of them but there are some that don't. So and again, you don't have to not get a bank that doesn't have Plaid. It's just know that, if you ever want to apply to any fintech companies that offer business credit cards, that they're going to use that platform and try to connect to your bank using that. And if your bank doesn't offer that, then you may have to go through a manual process to get approved.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna be signing up. Thank you. Yes, this was a great conversation. Listen, if y'all enjoyed this conversation, do me a favor. Type something in the chat. I need y'all to literally light the chat up. I want to see some emojis. I want to see some fire. I want to see some gems. She literally came through and dropped a lot of gems. I know it's like she literally scratched the surface of all the information related to business credit, how you can leverage it, how can you use it to get things next level. Because the main thing is, especially Black businesses, we are underfunded. You know what I mean? We do not have nearly enough as much access to capital as we should. So knowing how to play the game, how to use OPM, if you don't know what OPM is, other people's money, and how to utilize business credit to literally take your business to the next level. Because like Latoya said, the reason why a lot of businesses struggle or go out of business is access to capital or access to funding. So definitely make sure y'all show some love in the chat. If you have not signed up for her free online training, which is next week, go to excelcapitaltraining.com, excelcapitaltraining.com. Also, if you're not already following her, go at the top where the title is, click that little drop down. You can still be on the live. You don't have to leave and follow her. If you're not following me, make sure you follow me. Because we got, a lot more coming up. She has a training and a lot more other stuff she'll be doing. But Latoya, I would say any last words for the people, any other stuff you want to share, but I really appreciate you coming on and just dropping this knowledge on people.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Thanks for all the great questions and feedback. Want to invite you guys to my webinar next week. It is a free training. We're talking all about business credit. We're talking all about funding. So if you enjoyed our chat today, you're definitely going to enjoy the webinar. So make sure you go to excelcapitaltraining.com. We have a lot of people that get registered for these webinars. So make sure you register early, grab a seat, and be there. And then you can learn all about business credit and how it can work for you and your business. So I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on your platform, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the webinar next Thursday.
Yep, great. So like I said in the beginning of the conversation, she is the expert. So you make sure you want to leverage her expertise. Why trying to, spend so much time and money trying to figure it out when you can literally get with an expert that can shortcut the process? And why you still trying to figure all this out yourself or, wasting time and money? You literally can have the funding and have that money hit your account while you still trying to figure it out. So thank you again, Latoya. We got a lot more work to do. We definitely got to do this again because people love this conversation. But thank you.
Thank you. And I'm thankful to everybody in the comments. Look forward to seeing you guys on the webinar next week. So thanks again for having me. Twiggy, I saw some names down there. I just wanted to shout people out. But
shout out to Twiggy. Shout out to everyone else so much, everyone for coming on and joining. Everyone have a great night.
All right. Bye, everybody.